Welcome to Syntax Lesson 5. In this lesson, we will discuss auxiliaries and embedded clauses. Auxiliaries indicate the tense and aspect of the verb. Tense refers to the time of the event, and aspect refers to whether the event is ongoing or completed. In English, be, have, and do are used as auxiliaries, as shown in the following examples. The verbs contribute the lexical properties of the sentence, what event or state is being depicted in the sentence, while the auxiliaries indicate grammatical properties such as tense and aspect. Let's consider now where auxiliaries appear in the tree. So let's consider the position of auxiliaries in more detail now. So if we take a sentence like, Sally is eating a sandwich. We have to decide, figure out, that is, where the auxiliary goes. Now, in traditional grammar, it's assumed the verb and its auxiliary are assumed to form part of a large verb group. So we can imagine a model like this. Sally, with our verb phrase, and here's our verb with an auxiliary and a verb like this. Is eating a sandwich. Okay, so let's think about this for a second and see if this makes good predictions. So let's consider some data. Sally is eating a sandwich and drinking some tea. So if we look at this, what we see is that we've conjoined this phrase with this phrase. This tells us that eating a sandwich and drinking some tea are both constituents. And if we look at our tree here, the string of words eating a sandwich is not represented as a constituent. So this is a problem. Let's look at another example though. Sally is eating a sandwich. So we go back to our original sentence. Sally is eating a sandwich, and so is Bill, where so replaces the string of words eating a sandwich. Again, that tells us that eating a sandwich is a constituent, and it's not represented as such in this tree. So we will try again. So if we put the auxiliary out here, we have a model that better captures the observed facts here. So now the string of words eating a sandwich is a constituent. It's exhaustively dominated by a single node on the tree. And the auxiliary is out here. And this is confirmed by the data that we saw here previously. Next, we discuss embedded clauses. Consider the following examples. Carrie knows Bill. Carrie knows calculus. Carrie knows that Bill lives in Paris. The verb know is transitive, meaning it takes a direct object. In the first two sentences, the direct objects are Bill and calculus respectively. In the third sentence, the direct object is that Bill lives in Paris. That is, the direct object is not an NP, but rather a clause. The clause is introduced by a complementizer that. The clause is represented by S bar and is divided into the complementizer and the sentence. The topmost clause, shown in blue, is usually referred to as the main clause or the matrix clause. In traditional grammar, the verb of the matrix clause is called the main verb. All other clauses are called embedded clauses, shown in red. The complementizer encodes what we call the illocutionary force of the clause. There are various kinds of illocutionary force, as shown here. Declarative clauses are commonly called statements. In English, embedded declarative clauses are introduced by that. In Korean, declarative clauses in the plain style are introduced by ta. Here are some examples. Interrogative clauses are commonly called questions. In English, embedded interrogative clauses are introduced by if. In Korean, embedded interrogative clauses in the plain style are introduced by nunji, and in main or matrix interrogative clauses, they're introduced by ni in the plain style. These are the two types of clauses that we'll deal with from here on in. Another type of illocutionary force is hortative or exhortative. In English, these are introduced with let's, and in the plain style in Korean, they are introduced with ja, as shown in the following examples. Finally, there are imperative clauses, which are commonly called commands. In English, imperative clauses do not have a subject, but otherwise do not have any other special marking. In Korean, in the plain style, imperative clauses are marked with da. Again, here are some examples. Let's turn now to see how to draw an embedded clause. Okay, so let's look at the derivation of a sentence that contains a complementizer, that is, of a complex sentence. So here we have John thinks that Mary ate his apple. Okay, so the verb think takes this clause as a direct object. Okay, so here we have John and the verb phrase thinks, and here the direct object of the verb think is not a noun phrase, but now a clause with the complementizer that Mary ate his apple. So John thinks that Mary ate his apple. So far, we have seen only clauses that function as the direct object. Clauses can also be the subject of a sentence. Here is an example. That John won the race surprised the spectators.